Hi and welcome to Vjog 14. Now there isn't a 13 because a bit like hotels who don't have a 13th floor, I decided not to record a 13th Vjog for, reasons that everybody knows, number 13, all that stuff. Although I did enter the Dragon's Back on Friday the 13th, so maybe I don't believe in those omens too much. Anyway, this Vjog is all about training because there are 49 weeks to go until the race day. That's actually taken away the taper down week and a bit and the fact that we're already a week into training. So not that long really. So this video is all about the high level training, which is my mind map of the ultimate aim, which is to complete the Dragon's Back. And then I rewind and have a look at all of the things that are required to make that happen, and then break it down into monthly chunks and then weekly chunks on my training diary. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of the book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but there's the first 3 habits, which are be proactive, and then there's begin with the end in mind, and then there is put first things first. Those 3 habits are absolutely brilliant for managing yourself and your processes, and that's what I'll be using as my main focus at chunking out the training for the next 49 weeks. So here we go. I'll put up a few images on the screen and talk through them. So first up, there's the book by Stephen Covey. Totally recommended. So the book goes into detail of the 7 habits. The first 3, as I say, are basically managing yourself, and then habits 4 to 6 about how we work with others, and the last one is about sharpening the saw and revisiting all the habits. So habit 1 is all about being proactive with the mind. So essentially it's a solutions-based rather than problem-based mindset. Not worrying about things you can't do anything about, just focusing on the things you can influence, being responsible for your choices, and essentially remaining positive. So habit 2, begin with the end in mind, is essentially a nod to the fact that anything that ends up in physical reality starts in the mind as a mental image. So I take this as far as visualizations. So if you imagine the Dragon's Back, September 2025, I have to see in my mind's eye myself doing each day, finishing each day, and then finishing the whole event. I actually have to physically see it, feel it, know it. So after seeing the end result clearly in your mind, habit 3, put first things first. So this is quite simply looking at all the steps required to meet that end goal, breaking them down into logical steps, putting them in the right order, and then breaking them down into weekly and daily actions. When they're in daily actions, make sure every single day moves you closer towards that end goal. What could be simpler? So here we go. There's the end in mind, completion, September 2025. This is my mind map, which in the centre has the end result, complete Dragon's Back Race 2025. And then I've broken it down into several sections, the first of which is general conditioning. This is the bit that's very easy for me to influence because even though I'm based in Essex and there isn't much altitude, to get the general miles for strength and base strength in is quite sensible. I'll just follow the 10% rule, won't increase the monthly mileage by more than 10% each month. And no, the longer runs as well won't be increased by more than 10%. Well, wherever I can manage that anyway. Then we move on to specific training. Now, there's no real alternative than getting out on the actual course because you'll be experiencing the actual terrain that the race takes place on. Plus, it'll be a great chance to get to know the course and recce it. So I think I'm going to do a weekend, so that'll be 6 weekend trips to Wales at some stage. For general conditioning, get up to the Peak District, probably do the Skyline race, the Edale Skyline again in March. And obviously Izzy is in the Lake District, so every visit we go to her, we'll take an opportunity to get some technical terrain training in as well. Now there's Raw Camps, Raw Camps, there's a company called Raw that do terrain specific experiences, and they do Cribgoch and try fan, which probably are the things mostly on my mind with regards to the technicality. So I'll definitely be attending one of their courses as well. So lots of trips. I'm going to squeeze them mainly in between November and August, because I want to hit the middle of August pretty much done and dusted, ready to roll, and then taper down. So it's going to be fun. So the last two things on the mind map are kit. There's a specific kit list which we've got to have, and I'll be getting that prepared and organised hopefully by the end of the year. But when it comes to shoes, I've got my higher state shoes, which I think will be fine on the more sort of boggy, grassy terrain, legs 3, 4, 5 and 6. But I need something with good grip on wet rock for the first 2 days. So I'm going to have to experiment with a few shoes, make sure they don't give me blisters, make sure they're comfortable, and make sure I've got them as a good shoe for race day. So that's going to need a little bit of thinking and planning. Join a gym because of a stair climber. Living in Essex, apparently stair climbing in a gym is the only way to condition your muscles. That will handle the muscles for the ups, but the muscles for descent will only be on trips to Wales and the Lake District. So the last bit of this video is this week's training plan. I'm going to keep track on Mondays because I think it's important to maintain leg speed, because on a lot of the runnable sections, the better leg speed you've got, the more distance you're going to cover. I mean, that's not rocket science, is it really? Tuesday is going to be generally my recovery days, but I'll probably increase the mileage of those as time goes on. Wednesday mornings at 6 o'clock, I plan to get out for a longer run. This week it'll be 10 miles. And then on Thursdays, a morning run again, but with some more longer intervals in the evenings. Fridays will typically be another easy 6. And then the weekends will be where the bulk of the mileage is. However, this weekend is the Westminster Mile. So my last opportunity to get a mile in while I'm still a miler, and that's enough for now. So I'll report my next bank of training and how this week's training went in the next training update. Thanks for listening.